Today we're on the road in Hernando County, in the middle of Florida, in Brooksville, a small rural town with rolling hills. Brooksville is a residential and commercial community with a checkered past. Now, this channel doesn't deal with politics or religion. We just focus on taking enjoyable rides and learning a little bit on the way. But sometimes history touches sensitive subjects. So I'll do my best to be light on the controversy, but I do recommend those interested to investigate further some of the more unfortunate moments in Brooksville's past. Now, it all started in 1840. A fort named Fort DeSoto was located on the northeastern edge of present-day Brooksville and was established to give protection to settlers from Native Americans, and it also served as a trading post and a regular stop on the Concord stagecoach line, which ran from Palatka to Tampa. The protection provided by the fort helped settlers form what was to become Brooksville. In 1845, 4 families settled there. The Howell family settled in the northern part of town, the Mays settled in the eastern part, the Hale family on the west, and the Parsons family on the south. Unfortunately, the fort was built on top of a heavy bed of limestone, which no one could have known at the time, but it made it really difficult to obtain water. So the fort was abandoned, and it forced the settlers to move about 3 miles to the south. Now, the Hope and Saxon families formed a settlement that became known as Pierceville, and another community about 2 miles northwest of them was formed and called Melendez. In 1850, a post office was established at Melendez, which in 1855 was listed as the capital of Benton County, which is now Hernando County. 4 years later, it was replaced by a post office at Pierceville. The communities of Melendez and Pierceville merged and became Brooksville in 1856. Now, Brooksville took its name to honor and show support for a Democratic congressman named Preston Brooks. He was a pro-slavery representative from South Carolina. Now, Brooks made a name for himself in 1856 by entering the Senate chambers and caning Republican abolitionist Senator Charles Sumner nearly to death on the Senate floor after Sumner gave an anti-slavery speech and disparaged Brooks's uncle, Senator Andrew Butler. So the Pierceville Post Office was renamed Brooksville in 1871, and the city was incorporated in 1880. Now, in the 1920s, Brooksville had become a major citrus production area and was known as the home of the tangerine. Unfortunately, also during that time, it also saw the resurgence of the Ku Klux Klan. During the Great Depression in the 1930s, Brooksville suffered from a lack of currency. The school board paid teachers in something called chits, which is basically a substitute currency to replace existing tender like the dollar. It got so bad that there was a hardware store called Weeks Hardware that accepted payment in the form of chickens or sides of bacon. And, thinking about it, that's not a bad idea. Now, here's a nice, cool market that's happening downtown. A lot of people are there. I wish we had time to stop and just check it out. The smell of the food in the air was really made me very hungry. One of the interesting things about riding around small towns, and Brooksville's quite small, is you get a chance to kind of like take multiple laps and take a little time to explore and investigate and look. Like the first time I went around, I did not even notice this massive water tower, but it's cool. I mean, it's big, it's tall, and it's right on the edge of downtown, proudly stating its name. And these water towers were really important for the survival of small communities before water was made available through standard water service that we get from cities today. Another thing that I enjoyed as I went through the neighborhoods a couple of times was just how beautiful and inviting some of these streets were. But just some of these older homes, it's like you're riding down and you just want to stop and put your feet up on a porch and enjoy some beautiful southern iced tea as the warm spring breeze flows through the air. Yeah, I mean, that's what I love about these small towns, is you get a chance to not just ride through, but kind of take in. As for a Navi ride, Brooksville is enjoyable, and because it's so small, it's a quick ride. It has this alluring downtown with farmers markets and live events. It has a lot of these old historic buildings around, and it also has this really cool neoclassic Hernando County Courthouse. It was built in 1913 and remains a prominent symbol at the center of town. One of the things you realize as you ride through these smaller towns is that most of them were formed or grew as part of the expansion of the network of railroads. In bigger cities, a lot of these railroad tracks, if they're not still in common use, have been removed and replaced by pedestrian walkways or bike rideways, things like that. But in smaller towns, they're still important. And you see a lot of the railroad tracks still cutting through the town multiple times, because they're still important to the infrastructure of the state and for the survival of the city. Part of the small town's charm, and I'm guessing most of the rural small towns, is that some of the families living there have done so for generations. As a result, some of the area's early plantations are on historic registers. This ride was a lot of fun, and it was a little hot, but the clouds gave some relief, and there was some humidity in the air, but not too bad. Not like the deep Florida summer humidity where you feel like you're stepping into a liquid blanket of molten lava. It wasn't that bad. It was a lot better. Oh my gosh, look how long my hair is. Okay, sticking out of the back of my helmet. So here's the thing. I've been married to my wife for multiple decades, and I always looked basically the same. I always had short hair and a goatee. And I also started to gray in my 20s. My mother was completely gray by her 30s, or so she told me. She was always colored her hair. But so I take after her. And I'm the last of many kids, and I am by far the grayest/whitest haired sibling in the family. So because of this, my kids always just thought I've always looked the same. I've always been gray-ish, and I've always had short hair and a goatee. So my wife recently said, listen, we've been married a long time and you looked primarily the same, but I'm kind of tired of that look. So can you grow your hair out? So as a challenge, I jokingly said, well, if I'm going to grow my hair out, I'm also going to grow my beard out from a goatee to a full beard. I've never done that before. So I did, or have been doing so. And it's taken a lot longer to grow out my beard than I thought it would. And so the result is I have really long hair. This is the longest my hair's been since middle school. It's crazy. Fortunately, I work from home remotely for a company, so I don't spend a lot of time on video cameras or anything like that. So no one really has to see this experiment on my head. But it's been fun. It's been fun to look different. I've grown into my gray. I'm not old, but I'm older. And I'm having fun just looking a little different. I will get my hair cut, though. This is too long. It's really too long. But I'll probably keep it on the longer side going forward. And if I can get this beard situation fully grown, I may keep that going as well. So in the meantime, I just want to apologize for the flowing gray locks blowing in the wind beneath my helmet. It's crazy. And a surprising part of riding through Brooksville is that it has this hilly landscape, and it's really refreshing. In Florida, everything's basically flat, but in Brooksville, it's nice to have some hills that go up and down. It seems so simple and probably lame to most people outside of Florida, but for those of us in Florida, it's pretty cool. And these hills are actually often used by cyclists when they're training. Okay, here's some stats for you. Brooksville is about 11 square miles and has a population of about 9,500 that live in 13 neighborhoods. The per capita income in Brooksville is about $33,000, which is less than the $41,000 average in the U.S. The median household income is about $42,000, which is substantially less than the $75,000 average in the United States. Poverty level in Brooksville is about 20%. The median home value is about $112,000, and the average rent is about $2,000 per month. As far as demographics, about 16% of the residents are under 17, about 10% are between 18 and 24, 12% are between 25 and 34, 16% are between 35 and 54, and another 16% are between 55 and 64. The largest group appears to be those over 65, which is 31% of the population. 69% of the residents are white, 15% are Hispanic, and 10% are Black. Well, this has been a fun, enjoyable ride through Brooksville. As always, please be safe out there. And let's feed the algorithms with a like or subscribe or comment. You know, I don't really care about that stuff, but the algorithms do. So let's feed the algorithms so that more people like you can enjoy the ride with us. So be safe on the road, and I will see you guys next time.